Welcome back to Auto News Talk. If you've been looking at the automotive landscape lately, whether you're working in it or just trying to buy a car and feeling like the walls are closing in a little bit, you are definitely not imagining it.
No, you're not.
It feels like we're in the middle of a massive, invisible squeeze.
Squeeze is really the perfect word for it. It's tight, it's uncomfortable, and the pressure is coming from, well, from both ends of the industry at the same time.
Exactly. On one side, upstream, you have the sheer difficulty and cost of building the cars, which is just skyrocketing.
Right.
And it's because of some very specific and honestly surprising shifts in the global tech supply chain. And then on the other side, downstream, you have the customer.
Yeah.
They're stretched thin, they're paying more, and because of that, their patience for error has essentially hit zero.
It's a really high-stakes environment. And, I want to be clear right off the top, we aren't just talking about quarterly sales targets or inventory days here.
Right, not just the usual numbers.
No, we are looking at a fundamental structural shift in what we might call the supply chain of trust.
The supply chain of trust. I like that image.
It's really the only way to look at it. That chain starts all the way back with the raw silicon chips entering the factory.
Okay.
It moves through the finance office where the contracts get signed, and it ends, in the customer's driveway.
And if any link in that chain snaps,
The whole thing falls apart. Whether it's a delayed part, a confusing contract, or a rude email, the relationship just collapses. And right now, every single one of those links is under extreme tension.
So let's start at the very beginning of that chain, the raw materials. Usually when we talk about production nightmares in the auto industry, we're picturing, a factory fire or a boat stuck sideways in a canal.
Well, something physical.
But right now, the biggest threat to car production isn't physical at all. It's a server farm.
That's right. We are seeing a new kind of bottleneck that's fascinating because it's not about a lack of material, strictly speaking. It's about displacement.
What do you mean by displacement?
Well, there's a serious report circulating about a severe memory chip crunch. And the headline is that the auto industry is basically getting bullied out of the production queue by the AI boom.
So this is that invisible squeeze we mentioned.
Exactly.
But let's get technical for a second. We aren't just talking about chips broadly, right? This isn't the same shortage from a few years ago all over again.
No, this is much more specific. We're talking specifically about DRAM and NAND memory chips.
Okay, the workhorses.
The absolute workhorses of data processing and storage. Now, major players, Samsung, SK Hynix, Micron, they're aggressively pivoting their manufacturing capacity. They're moving away from the standard chips that cars typically use.
And they're moving toward what?
They're moving toward high bandwidth memory, or HBM, for AI data centers.
Yeah.
It's a pure margin play.
Of course.
The profit margins on HBM chips for an AI stack are just significantly higher than the commodity memory used in, say, a Ford or a Toyota.
So it's just simple economics. The chip makers are chasing the AI gold rush, and automakers are sort of the collateral damage.
Precisely. And there is a really telling detail in the source material about Micron that honestly stopped me in my tracks.
Oh, yeah.
They are actually closing down their consumer RAM brand, Crucial.
Wait, Crucial, I've bought their RAM sticks for my laptop before.
Exactly. It's a household name in the tech world. And they are shutting down that entire consumer brand just to prioritize these enterprise data centers.
Wow, that's a massive signal.
Huge. It tells you that the consumer and industrial markets, which includes automotive, are taking a backseat, a distant backseat.
Closing a brand name just to free up factory space, that tells you everything you need to know about where their priorities lie. So where does that leave automakers? Are they just fighting for scraps?
To an extent, yes. And the timing is just terrible because modern cars are becoming absolute data hogs.
I can imagine.
In 2023, the average vehicle had about 90 gigabytes of memory on board.
90?
And that is projected to triple by 2026.
Triple in just 3 years.
Think about the feature wars we're in. Every car maker wants that massive pillar-to-pillar screen, the level 3 autonomous driving, the smart cockpit that learns your voice.
Right, all that stuff.
All of that requires massive amounts of DRAM and NAND. So you have auto demand just skyrocketing at the exact moment the supply is being diverted to ChatGPT and server farms.
I did see that Ford is already sounding the alarm on this.
They are. Ford's CFO went on record admitting that while they have the supply they need for the, the immediate moment, they're seeing serious price pressure.
They're planning for higher costs.
Yes. This isn't a maybe problem for them. It's a How much is this going to hurt our bottom line problem?
And that cost has to go somewhere. It either eats the manufacturer's profit or it gets passed to the dealer and the consumer.
Exactly. And there is a limitation to what we know here. The reporting suggests there's some panic buying happening behind the scenes.
Automakers trying to lock in contracts.
Right. But we don't know when that capacity crunch actually hits the showroom floor in terms of, like, physical shortages. Building new chip fabs takes years, not months. So this squeeze is going to be with us for a while.
Okay, so that's the upstream pressure. The car is harder and more expensive to build because the AI robots are eating all the memory chips. Now, let's move downstream. That cost eventually lands on the sticker price, and that brings us right to the dealership finance office.
This is where the rubber meets the road, literally and financially. And we have fresh data on the F&I finance and insurance sector. And if the chip market is overheating, the F&I market is definitely cooling down.
Cooling down in what way? Are people just not buying protections anymore?
It's a bit more nuanced than that. The explosive growth we saw post-pandemic is definitely over.
Okay.
The number of dealers seeing greater than 10% growth in their F&I departments has dropped significantly.
Yeah.
From 31% down to just 11%.
Whoa, that's a steep drop-off.
It is.
That suggests it's getting much harder to sell those extra products. The tire and wheel protection, the extended warranties.
It's because of affordability.
Yeah.
We call it the affordability wall. The customer is sitting in that chair, staring at a monthly payment, and that's probably way higher than the last time they bought a car.
And they're skeptical of anything that adds even a penny to that bottom line.
Incredibly skeptical.
Yeah.
But the data says they are still buying some things. They aren't walking out completely unprotected.
So what are they buying?
They are buying, but the motivation has shifted. It's no longer about peace of mind in the abstract. They're buying out of, frankly, fear.
Fear.
The data shows strong demand for GAP coverage and protection against mechanical failures.
That makes sense to me. If I'm stretching my budget to the absolute limit to buy a car, I cannot afford a $3,000 repair bill.
Not at all.
And I definitely can't afford to be upside down on the loan if the car gets totaled.
Exactly. It's pure risk mitigation. And because customers are so much more critical and price sensitive, dealers are having to adopt what's being called a deliberate omni-channel strategy.
Deliberate omni-channel? That sounds a bit like marketing jargon. What does that actually look like in practice for a buyer?
It's actually quite practical. It's about acknowledging that the customer has already done their homework. About 63% of dealers are now providing F&I information online.
So they let you research at home?
Yes, but, and this is the deliberate part, they still finalize the deal in person.
Why not just let them buy it online? If I can buy the car online, why can't I just click a box and add the warranty?
Because of the sticker shock.
Uh-huh.
If you just see a price tag of, say, $2,500 for a service contract on a website, your reflex is to just click no.
Yeah, probably.
You don't see the value, only the cost. But if you have a human being sitting across from you explaining why you need that protection in a world where a single LED headlight costs $2,000 to replace,
You might say yes?
you might. It's about re-educating the customer, not just transacting. It's explaining the complexity of the machine they're about to own.
So it's a hybrid model, educate online, close in person.
Correct.
You know, speaking of technology in the dealership, there was one stat in that F&I report that really stood out to me as, well, almost painfully ironic.
I think I know which one you're going to pick.
We just spent, 10 minutes talking about how AI data centers are eating up the world's chip supply?
Mm-hmm.
But in the dealership finance office, the report says only 8% of dealers are actively using AI in their process.
It's a massive contradiction, isn't it? We have high-tech cars, high-tech supply chain problems caused by AI.
But extremely low-tech sales processes.
Exactly. The industry is still very manual, and that lag is dangerous. Because as we're about to see, efficiency and speed are exactly what the modern customer is demanding.
Well, let's talk about that demand, because if the car is more expensive to build and the customer is stressed about affording it, what happens when something goes wrong?
The patience for error just evaporates. It totally disappears.
We have a report from the Ombudsman about used car complaints, and the numbers are honestly concerning.
They are. Year over year, disputes regarding used cars are up 14%.
14%.
And used cars now account for 40% of all the cases the Ombudsman handles.
That is a significant jump in a single year. What's driving that? Is it just that people are cranky, or are the cars actually getting worse?
It's a mix, but the data points to some specific failures. About 40% of those complaints are pure customer service issues.
Just how they were treated.
Right. But 35% are mechanical faults, and specifically engine failures.
Engine failures. That seems extreme for modern cars.
It connects right back to that affordability issue. People are holding on to cars longer, or they're buying older inventory because that's what fits their budget. But older cars break.
And when a consumer has stretched their budget to the limit to buy that car, and then the engine blows 3 weeks later?
They don't just get mad, they get litigious.
And the report mentioned some other specific friction points, right? It wasn't just the car broke.
No, it's how the dealer handles it. The report lists things like undeclared vehicle modifications, parts delays, and workshop damage.
Undeclared modifications is interesting. That sounds like dealers taking in trade-ins and not checking them thoroughly before flipping them.
That is exactly what it is. It paints a picture of kind of operational sloppiness. Dealers are trying to move metal fast to keep cash flow up, and they're missing things.
And workshop damage is the one that really kills trust.
Oh, absolutely. You take your car in to be fixed, and it comes out with a new dent. That's a guaranteed way to destroy a relationship.
Now, we should probably put this in context. We don't want to scare everyone into thinking every used car is a ticking time bomb.
Right. We need to keep perspective. The absolute rate of disputes is still roughly 0.2% of all transactions.
So 1 in 420 deals.
About that, yeah. So most transactions are fine. But a 14% rise is a loud signal. It tells us that as volume remains high, about 8 million used transactions, the operational side is cracking under the pressure.
And it's not just the ombudsman data. We also have that red flags survey that came out.
Yep.
This one really zooms in on the psychology of the buyer before they even sign the paper.
This was fascinating. It asks buyers what makes them walk away. And the #1 red flag, online reviews.
No surprise there.
62% of buyers will walk away purely based on poor ratings or comments.
That is brutal. It means you could have the perfect car at the perfect price sitting right there on the lot. But if your Google star rating is a 3.2, you might as well be invisible.
You don't even get the at-bat. And #2 on that list connects directly to the squeeze we're talking about, communication speed.
Okay.
61% of buyers are turned off by slow or unresponsive communications.
Which goes back to the lack of AI and automation we just mentioned. If you're a salesperson and you're busy fixing an engine issue,
Yeah.
you're not answering that email lead.
Exactly. And visuals matter too. 55% will walk if the vehicle is badly presented. 49% if the premises are dirty.
So let's synthesize this. We have a cumulative trust problem. Trust is built online before they ever meet you via reviews.
Right.
It's tested during communication, how fast do you reply? And then it's often broken in the service bay when the car breaks and the parts are delayed.
And the limitation of the data here is that the Ombudsman report doesn't break this down by region or brand. So we don't know if this is a nationwide epidemic or if there are specific pockets of poor performance.
But the trend line is undeniable.
The consumer's on a hair trigger.
Okay, so we've painted a bit of a grim picture. Cars are hard to get parts for, customers are stressed about money, and if you don't email them back in 5 minutes, they hate you. Is there a solution here?
There is a solution.
Yeah.
And ironically, it brings us back to technology.
Yeah.
But not the flashy generative AI, just good, smart integration. We saw a really interesting announcement from a company called Jumptech regarding EV chargers that I think serves as a perfect case study for how to fix this.
Right, the platform for installing home chargers. Why does this matter so much in the context of the squeeze?
It matters because it targets that exact communication friction we just talked about. I mean, think about the old process. One of the biggest headaches in selling an EV is the home charger.
How do I get it installed?
Exactly. And usually the dealer says, here's a card for a local electrician, good luck, which is a terrible customer experience.
Yeah, you're handing them a chore right after they spent thousands of dollars.
It's a massive friction point. It delays the handover. It creates anxiety.
All right.
What Jumptech did is launch a platform that connects the dealer's CRM directly to the installer.
So it automates the handoff.
Completely. It tracks the installation from the initial inquiry all the way to commission status. The dealer can see exactly what's happening. No more chasing.
I saw they're even planning a set package, $799 for the hardware and installation.
That's the all-in detail that matters. It simplifies the cost. It removes the uncertainty. And we know big players are already using this Lookers OEM networks for Volkswagen, Audi, Ford.
So it addresses that communication speed red flag directly.
It takes a manual headache and turns it into an automated workflow. And that is the blueprint for surviving this squeeze. You cannot control the price of memory chips.
No.
You can't control interest rates, but you can control the friction in your own process.
But there's a limitation here too, right? This isn't rolled out everywhere yet.
Sure. The source mentions that the expansion to independent retailers is planned. We don't know the volumes yet, but the concept is sound. It's about bridging the gap between buying the car and using the car.
So let's try to pull all these threads together. We've covered a lot of ground, from the silicon fabs to the service bay. What are the big themes emerging here for you?
I see three distinct themes. The first is just the cost of complexity.
That's the chip crunch.
Right. And the F&I pressure. Cars are becoming incredibly complex machines, both to build and to finance. That complexity drives up costs, which hits the consumer hard.
And that leads directly to the second theme, the service gap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Supported by the Ombudsman report and that red flag survey. As prices rise, the tolerance for bad service just plummets.
The crucial psychological shift.
It is. If I'm buying a cheap runaround, I might tolerate a slow email. But if I'm paying a premium price for a complex machine, I expect premium service.
And the third theme seems to be the answer to all of this: integration.
Yes. Whether it's Jumptech connecting the CRM to the electrician or the F&I office connecting online research to the in-store signature, the only way to handle the complexity is to integrate the systems.
I also notice a pretty stark tension in the sources, a contradiction almost.
The tech desire versus tech reality gap.
Exactly. Dealers are desperate to sell these high-tech cars filled with AI features, but only 8% of them are using AI to actually help sell them.
It's a massive missed opportunity. And there's another tension: growth versus satisfaction. We're seeing huge transaction volumes, 8 million used cars. But satisfaction is cracking under that volume. The systems aren't scaling with the sales.
So what does this all mean for the listener? If you're running a dealership or you're in the industry, what's the so what?
The so what is that the dealers who survive this squeeze won't necessarily be the ones with the best inventory or the lowest prices. It will be the ones who remove friction.
Friction, that's the enemy.
It is. Whether that means securing chip supplies early, explaining GAP insurance clearly so the customer doesn't feel scammed, or automating the charger install so they don't have to make phone calls. In a high-cost, high-stress market, the company that makes it easy wins.
It really feels like transparency is the new currency.
I couldn't agree more. When people are scared about money and reliability, honesty sells better than a discount.
In a world of rising complaints and supply shortages, just telling the customer the truth and doing it quickly, that's the ultimate competitive advantage.
And honestly, looking at your own operation through the lens of that red flag survey is a great place to start.
That's actually a great challenge for our listeners. Go audit your own red flags. Go look at your online reviews right now. Not the good ones. Look at the bad ones.
Yes.
Check your email response times. Are you part of the 61% that scares buyers away? Or are you the one picking up the slack?
It's a tough question, but you have to ask it. Because if you don't, the market will answer it for you.
Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. It's been quite a journey from the silicon fab to the service desk. Thank you for walking us through the supply chain of trust.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you for listening to Auto News Talk. We'll be back with more insights soon. Until then, keep those reviews up and those response times down.
Take care.
Bye for now.